so profound that hardened courtiers gagged and ran for the nearest window. Outside, dogs licked at the putrid fluid seeping from King Henry VIII's coffin. In the next few minutes, we're diving deep into the shocking medical truth that transformed England's golden prince into a 400-pound monster. Evidence Tudor historians tried to bury for centuries. This isn't just speculation, it comes from newly unearthed court physician records and forensic analysis of his actual remains. But before we get to the gruesome end, let me pull back the curtain and show you exactly how England's most powerful monarch spiraled into this grotesque shell of a man. Because what you're about to learn is going to utterly rewrite everything you thought you knew about the Tudor dynasty. The king who executed 2 wives and ripped an entire nation's religion apart met a fate so horrifying, so undignified, that his own government covered it up for 450 years. However, secret medical records have finally revealed the full, unvarnished truth, and it all kicks off with a jousting accident that would slowly, agonizingly rot him from the inside out. Quick favor, if this is already blowing your mind with information you've never heard before, hit that like button right now to help other history fanatics discover this hidden knowledge. Because I've got 3 jaw-dropping revelations coming up that will fundamentally change how you view the entire Tudor era. Picture this. January 24th, 1536. Greenwich Palace, Qatar. King Henry VIII, 44, still a remarkably fit and athletic figure, thunders down the tilt yard on his colossal warhorse. The crowd holds its breath as England's king, adorned in specially crafted armor, each piece alone worth more than a common laborer's lifetime wages, aims his lance at his opponent. The very ground trembles under the thunder of hooves as these 2 armored titans hurtle toward each other at breakneck speed. But then, everything goes catastrophically wrong. The horses collide with the visceral force of a modern car crash. Henry's armored body, a staggering 300 pounds of man and metal, is violently thrown to the frozen ground. A collective gasp rips through the crowd as they watch his destroyer, a massive warhorse bred for battle, stumble, and then, in a horrifying twist of fate, fall directly on top of the king. The tilt yard goes absolutely silent. Courtiers freeze, too terrified to even breathe. Is the king dead? Has England just lost its monarch, its very future, to a sport? For 2 agonizing hours, Henry VIII lay unconscious. 2 hours where England literally had no king. 2 hours where Anne Boleyn, heavily pregnant with the male heir she desperately hoped for, waited in agonizing suspense for news. 2 hours that would irrevocably change everything. When Henry finally regained consciousness, witnesses reported something profoundly disturbing. The king's eyes, once bright with sharp intelligence and charismatic charm, now held a different light. Something darker, more volatile. His first words weren't relief at surviving or concern for his subjects' terror. Instead, he erupted into a furious rage, demanding to know why the tournament had been stopped. The charming Renaissance prince who could speak 4 languages, write poetry, compose music, dance until dawn, and debate theology with Europe's finest minds, that man never fully returned from the tilt yard that day. In his place emerged a paranoid tyrant with violent mood swings that would terrorize England for the next 11 years. Modern neuroscientists, meticulously studying the historical records, now believe Henry suffered a traumatic brain injury to his frontal lobe, the very area of the brain responsible for personality and impulse control. The evidence is compelling. Before the accident, Henry showed remarkable restraint for a monarch of his era. He'd been married to Catherine of Aragon for and said even the gentlest brush of silk bed sheets would make you scream. This wasn't just discomfort. It was a living hell. Court physician Dr. Thomas Vickery's secret notes, hidden away in the Royal College of Physicians and only discovered in the 1960s, described these as ulcers of a grievous nature, stinking and painful beyond measure. The king's legs had to be drained daily, sometimes twice daily, filling bronze bowls with infected fluid that servants would quickly, discreetly remove from the royal presence. But Henry, in his vanity and paranoia, tried desperately to hide this horrifying deterioration. He designed special garters with lead weights to compress the wounds, foolishly believing pressure would force them closed. Instead, this cut off circulation and made the infection worse. He doused himself in expensive perfumes imported from Arabia, mixing rose oil with ambergris to mask the unbearable stench. He even instructed his portrait painters to depict him with impossibly athletic legs, standing in that famous, powerful stance we all recognize today. With the ghosts of his victims. Multiple witnesses reported seeing the king suddenly stop mid-sentence during crucial state business, his face draining of color, staring fixedly at empty air. He would whisper, "No, not now," or "Leave me be," before exploding in rage at his utterly confused counselors. One particularly detailed account from the French ambassador describes Henry suddenly screaming at an empty chair, ordering Anne Boleyn to stop laughing at him. His physicians to save him, promising them wealth beyond imagining if they could cure him. When they failed to provide relief, he would rage at them, threatening torture and execution, though he lacked the strength to sign the warrants. In his delirious periods, Henry revealed the true depths of his terror. He would cry out for his mother, dead for nearly 40 years, begging her to protect him from demons he saw crawling up from beneath his bed. He would have conversations with his brother Arthur, who had died in 1502, apologizing for taking his throne and his wife. Most pathetically, he would call out for his first wife, Catherine of Aragon, asking her forgiveness, though she had died alone and abandoned 11 years earlier. His final moments were a tortured confession. The court maintained an elaborate facade during these final days. Official proclamations continued. They desperately needed time to figure out how to handle the rapidly deteriorating corpse. The body was simply too large and too decomposed to display publicly without causing an unimaginable scandal. Embalmers were summoned urgently, but they faced an impossible task. When they opened Henry's body to remove the organs for preservation, they discovered the true extent of the internal decay. The liver was so enlarged and diseased it fell apart when touched. The heart, swollen to nearly twice normal size, was surrounded by yellow fluid. The intestines were black with gangrene. One embalmer's assistant fainted when the stomach was opened, releasing such a concentrated stench that workers fled the room, unable to bear it. The embalmers worked frantically for 2 days, using techniques that would be considered extreme even by Tudor standards. They packed the body cavity with over 100 pounds of salt and aromatic herbs. They wrapped the corpse in waxed cloth soaked in turpentine. They sealed everything in a massive lead coffin that required special reinforcement to hold the weight. But even these extraordinary measures couldn't contain Henry's decay. During the lying in state at Whitehall, witnesses reported strange sounds coming from the coffin, pops and gurgles as gases continued to build inside the sealed container. The lid itself began to bulge outward. Officials hurriedly draped more black cloth over the coffin to hide its grotesque distortion. Then came the procession to Windsor Castle on February 14th. Henry's coffin, weighing nearly half a ton with its reinforcements, required a specially built carriage pulled by 8 horses. The journey that should have taken 1 day stretched to 3 as the horses struggled with the immense weight and the roads turned to thick mud under winter rain. On the second night, the procession stopped at Sion Abbey, ironically, one of the monasteries Henry had dissolved years earlier. The coffin was placed in the chapel overnight. What happened next was so grotesque that it passed into legend, though contemporary accounts confirm it actually occurred. The pressure from the gases inside Henry's decomposing corpse finally became too much. The lead coffin split open with a sound witnesses described as like a thunderclap. Putrid fluids leaked out, pooling grotesquely on the chapel floor. The smell was so overwhelming that guards fled their posts. And then came the final, grotesque indignity. In the morning, Workers discovered that dogs had entered the chapel during the night. They found the animals licking at the pooled fluids that had leaked from the king's coffin. The man who had styled himself as God's anointed, who had broken from Rome itself to assert his divine right to rule, ended up as food for scavenging dogs. Palace workers.
Mm. All right. First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah, Hakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace, blessings, and safety to the Lord's elect. All right, this is the brother Yeshaya. As you've seen, I wanted to do a series about, Esau's shameful spewing. And man, I just through the months I've been watching these certain dignities, these certain kings, and queens. All right, Queen Elizabeth the First, which she was nasty. I'm gonna do her next probably. But anyway, and yeah, man, to see how filthy these kings rule, and that's just Yahweh Bashem Yahushua mocking, okay, them. All right, and look what he said. He said he felt that he was the Most High's anointed. Okay, and he had the same one of the same faces Antiochus Epiphanes. It might have been him coming back in the reincarnation because he died of a horrible stench, all right, rotten from the inside. I mean, and this man's if you when you go into, I didn't want to play the whole video, but his diet was grotesque, man. He was a um a glutton if there was one. All right. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Habakkuk 2 and 16, thou art filled with shameful glory. Drink thou also and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of the Lord, Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushua's right hand, which is Yahweh, shall be turned unto thee. Well, Yahushua, Salakia. The cup of the Lord Yahweh's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. Okay, shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. All right, and that's what's happening. All right, all of these things are coming out. Okay, the internet. All right, they hated that they created the internet. I think one of the Rothschilds said that, but it was all for prophecy's sake. All right, this is how prophecy was fulfilled by what uh, the word spread into the four winds of the heavens. All right, these satellites, man. Okay, it does the heavy lifting, like the apostles always say. So there you go, man. All right. Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. Okay. So shameful spewing, even down to these kings, and it's really talking about now. Okay, like these couple 100-year periods leading up to the end, which we're in right now. Okay, but you can basically drape it over, these former kings and queens, man, because Esau, Edom, they're nasty, wicked people, man. All right, and no one in their right mind would have them head over a people. But Yahweh Hashem Yahushua did it for a purpose. He said it. He said that he would set the basis of men over the people. All right. I'll probably get it. Hebrews 12 and 16, lest there be any fornicator or profane person is Esau, who's for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. So there you go. All right. This in the NLT, make sure that no one is immoral or godless like Esau, who traded his birthright as the firstborn son for a single meal. So there you go. Okay, there you go. All right. And this man is deplorable. All right, detestable, abominable. Every wicked, he is the wicked. Every negative analogy that you can find, it fits this man. And that's why we're so adamant on, bringing his darkness to light, okay, and exposing this man. And that's what we're supposed to do. All right, being the mouthpieces of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. He said he will um, destroy with the brightness of his coming. Let me see. Uh, I don't want to quote it. Let me see. I think it's in Thessalonians. Destroy brightness of his coming. Yeah, Second Thessalonians 2:8. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. And this is part of destroying them, um, with the spirit of his mouth. Okay, his prophets pointing the finger at him, that expose. This is, he did it. Like you're on a jury and that long finger gets pointed. He did it. You know how they used to do in the old days, man. Hey, that's how we do it, man, through the spirit of poverty. How about should be our shot? We're letting you know this man is not fit to rule. This man is nasty. He stank. All right, and he needs to be taken out of the way. All right, and this book of Job is one of my favorite books. Basically detailing Esau, man. All right, here it is right here, Job 30:1. But now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock. So he's talking about Esau. He wouldn't even want them around his dogs. And you know what they do. You know what they do to animals, man. All right. Yea, whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished. For what? For want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in former time, desolate and waste. So that's them. Okay. They were in the caves, okay, for 1,000 year period. All right. Because there was 2,000 year periods. There's 2,000 year periods in the scriptures, and you bonehead Christians and low level, slow bellied Israelites don't know the difference. That 1,000 year period happened slightly before this dude's reign, King Henry VIII. Okay, that 1,000 year period, so like that 1,000 year period, okay, where basically, yeah, they were shut up and drove into the caves or whatnot, ended roughly around the 13th century, the 1200 to 1300s. All right, and it was spearheaded by the Borgia family, the first crime family. All right, so you got to think these deplorable humans. They've been in a state of the wild man, caveman. All right, braying and eating juniper roots like this chapter goes into, right? But then now they're in rule of everything. Hey, the Lord has a sense of humor, man. All right. But that's also for our punishment. He set the basis of men up. Okay. Um, for want and famine, they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in former time, desolate and waste, who cut up mallows and bushes and juniper roots for their meat. They were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as a thief, to dwell in the clefts of the valleys and caves of the earth and in the rocks. Among the bushes they brayed, under the nettles they were gathered together. So they were cavemen. Okay. And if you go into it, all right, these the Moors, had to teach these, so-called kings and matriarchs or whatever, monarchs, how to bathe, man. Okay, you go into it. They used to let their drawers, their underwear, disintegrate off of them. You know the stench of that. They used to pick fleas and bugs out of their pubic area and eat them. Doesn't animals do that? You see baboons and chimpanzees do that. All right, that shows the true nature of this man. Verse 8, they were children of fools, yea, children of base men. They were viler than the earth. So these oh man, these people are so fucking wicked. All right. But the Lord is going to get them out the way. And, we just tired of being around them. We're tired of working with them. We're tired of seeing them. We're tired of being in traffic with them. We're tired of getting rung up by them at the gas station. It's it's just it's tiresome, man. Daniel 4:17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand of the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the bases of men. So he put the bases of men and set them up in a high position, okay, for a punishment. And just because he can do that, just to show his power, just so he can, take them out the way. All right, and establish what? The true rulers. All right, Yahushua, King David, the rest of the 12, and wherever us other brothers may fall into, Lord willing, we be a part of that number. All right. I played a little bit much of that video, so what I'm gonna do is just try to breeze through these. I ain't gonna make it too long. Ezekiel 7 and 24. Wherefore I will bring the worst of the heathen, and they shall possess their houses. I will also make the pomp of the strong to cease, and their holy places shall be defiled. Destruction cometh, and they shall seek peace, and shall be none. So this is talking the worst of the heathen. This goes into another time period. You know, like the elder Yasharamba always says, it's important to know the exact time period that is stating, but then also the future connotation of the prophecy. Right. So that's what this is right here. So yeah, man. Hey, the worst of the heathen. Okay, and they have done that. They what did nothing but killed, raped, robbed, and murdered, man, and called their name, the lands after their own names. All right, they were vagabonds in the earth. They have no place. They just go around taking, marauding. All right, and hey, it is what it is, man. Psalms, let's look. Psalms 50 and 16. But unto the wicked, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldst take my covenant in thy mouth? Seest thou hated instruction, and castest my words behind thee. So this dude talking about he said he was God's anointed set up on the earth. Okay, and you still see that to this day. You got the Pope, the papacy. They think they're, under Yahweh Shah, whatnot, which is blasphemy. Okay, that's blasphemy. And look what the Lord did. The Lord made him go out a horrible death. All right, and I didn't even get into his diet. He used to eat so much like deplorable things. He used to vomit. They used to vomit, get full, vomit just to eat more. So these people, man, they do not have the capacity to rule over themselves. How much more, the masses, the world. All right. But hey, it's okay. The Lord is gonna take them out the way. It's okay. The Lord gonna take them out the way. Uh Second Thessalonians 2 and yeah, verse 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first. And that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called the Most High, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple, showing himself that he is the power. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things, and now ye know what withholdeth that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work, only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders. So this man is the physical counterpart of Satan, and he's being revealed. Okay, he is being revealed as what, that old serpent. All right, that old devil. Okay, and this is talking about a man. This is not talking about the spiritual demon Satan, man. All right, and this is talking about what that. Here it is right here. Revelation 12 and 9, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceived the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels was cast out with him. So this is when Yahweh Shah comes back, like he saw Lucifer fall from heaven, okay, with the heavenly host, all right, and to establish his reign and to take the kingdom brutally, man, all right, and rightfully so. So, Lord willing, that was edifying. I want to end it with that. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rekah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace, blessings, safety to the Lord's elect. Shalom.